The Grand Accord Chamber was the most impressive room in the known universe. It floated at the heart of Nexus Prime, a space station larger than most moons. Crystal walls stretched toward a ceiling that showed the stars themselves. 4,000 species had seats in this chamber. 4,000 flags hung from the walls. And today, every eye in the room was watching the small human woman who stood at the center. Ambassador Elena Vasquez kept her face calm. She had practiced this expression for 30 years. She had worn it through insults, through lies, and through moments that made her want to scream. But she had never felt as cold as she did right now. The Valeth Primarch towered above her on his floating throne. He was ancient, even by the standards of his insectoid species. His shell had turned gray with age. His forearms moved slowly as he spoke, but his voice carried the weight of 12,000 years of galactic rule. Humanity has been a provisional member of the Galactic Concordat for 200 years, the Primarch said. His translators turned his clicking sounds into words that Elena could understand. This is longer than any species in our history. The Council has shown great patience. Elena said nothing. She had learned that silence was often the best response. However, the Primarch continued. The Council cannot ignore certain truths. Humans breed quickly. Humans expand quickly. Humans have what some call aggressive tendencies. He paused. These are not insults. They are observations. Around the chamber, thousands of aliens watched. Some nodded in agreement. Others looked uncomfortable. A few seemed genuinely sympathetic. But none of them spoke. No one ever challenged the Valeth. Therefore, the Primarch said, the Council has prepared a generous offer. Humanity may achieve full membership in the Concordat. You will have voting rights. You will have trade access. You will be equals. Elena felt her heart beat faster. This was what humanity had wanted for 2 centuries. This was the dream. In exchange, the Primarch said, humanity will surrender the Sol system to Concordat administration. Your species will relocate to a designated colony zone in the outer territories, and you will accept cultural guidance to help correct your more troublesome behaviors. The chamber was silent. Elena did not move. She could not move. The words echoed in her mind. Surrender the Sol system. Give up Earth. Give up Mars. Give up the moons of Jupiter where her grandmother had been born. Give up everything humanity had ever called home. This offer is generous, the Primarch repeated. Earth is only one planet. The colony zone contains 17 habitable worlds. Humanity will have room to grow. You will simply grow under proper supervision. Elena found her voice. It came out steady, which surprised her. May I request a recess to consult with my government? The Primarch's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. Of course, Ambassador. The Council grants you 3 cycles. We are not unreasonable. Elena bowed her head slightly. Then she turned and walked out of the chamber. She kept her steps slow and measured. She kept her back straight. She did not look at the thousands of eyes watching her leave. The moment the doors closed behind her, she began to run. The secure communication room was buried deep in the human embassy. Elena locked the door behind her and activated the quantum link to Earth. The face of Secretary General Marcus Chen appeared on the screen. He looked tired. He always looked tired these days. I watched the broadcast, he said before she could speak. We all did. They want Earth, Elena said. They want us to give up our home. I know. Marcus, we have done everything right. We terraformed 3 dead worlds for them. We shared our FTL improvements. We have never broken a single treaty. We have been patient for 200 years. Her voice cracked. And they want us to give up Earth. The Secretary General was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was soft. Elena, do you know why they really want us gone from Sol? They say we are dangerous. Yes, but do you know why they believe that? Elena shook her head. Because we are dangerous, Marcus said. Not because we are violent. Because we do not give up. Because we adapt. Because we look at impossible problems and find solutions. The Valith have ruled this galaxy for 12,000 years, because no species has ever truly challenged them. And they see something in us that terrifies them. What do they see? Potential. Marcus leaned forward. Elena, the Council has been studying us since first contact. They have watched us climb from caves to starships in the blink of an eye by their standards. They have seen us survive plagues and wars and disasters that would have destroyed other species. And they have done the math. They know that if we are given time and space to grow, we will eventually surpass them. Elena felt cold. So they want to cage us. They want to control us. The colony zone is not a gift. It is a prison. The cultural guidance is not help. It is brainwashing. They want to break us slowly, over generations, until we forget what we could have become. Then what do? The Secretary General was silent for a long time. Finally, he spoke. Elena, I am going to tell you something that has been classified at the highest level for 200 years. Since the day we made first contact, humanity has been preparing for this moment. We have been holding back. We have been hiding our true capabilities. We have been waiting. Waiting for what? For the day when diplomacy failed. Marcus met her eyes through the screen. We hoped it would never come. We prayed that we were wrong about the Concordat. We wanted to believe that peace was possible. But we always knew this day might arrive. Elena felt something shift inside her. Fear gave way to something else. Something harder. What are your orders, Secretary General? Go back to that chamber, decline their offer, then walk away. They will not let us leave peacefully. No, they will not, Marcus smiled, and there was steel in that smile. But humanity has never needed permission to survive. Go, Elena. Tell them our answer. And then come home. It is time for the galaxy to learn who we really are. Elena stood alone before the doors of the Grand Accord chamber. Behind those doors, the entire galaxy waited. 4,000 species, trillions of beings, 12,000 years of history, and one small human woman who was about to change everything. She pushed open the doors and walked inside. The chamber fell silent as she approached the center platform. The Primarch looked down at her with ancient eyes. Ambassador Vasquez, have you consulted with your government? I have. And what is humanity's answer? Elena looked up at the Primarch. She looked at the thousands of faces watching her. She thought of Earth, blue and beautiful. She thought of her grandmother on Europa, teaching her to look at the stars. She thought of every human who had ever dreamed of a better future. We decline, she said. Permanently. The chamber erupted. Voices shouted in 100 languages. The Primarch's mandibles clicked rapidly in shock. But Elena was not finished. She reached to her belt and removed the diplomatic beacon that marked her as an official representative of a Concordat member species. She placed it on the floor. Humanity withdraws from the Galactic Concordat, she said. We will no longer participate in a system designed to control us. We will find our own path among the stars. She turned and walked toward the exit. Ambassador, the Primarch shouted. If you leave this chamber, there will be consequences. If, Elena stopped at the doors, she did not turn around. We are not afraid of consequences. We never have been. Then she stepped through the doors and let them close behind her. In the chamber, chaos reigned. But beyond the walls of Nexus Prime, across the countless light-years of human space, something else was happening. Messages were being sent. Orders were being given. Plans that had waited 2 centuries were finally being set in motion. Humanity had left the negotiation table, and the universe would never be the same. The first month after humanity's withdrawal was filled with laughter. In the halls of power across the galaxy, the great species of the Concordat made jokes about the humans. They called it a tantrum. They called it foolishness. They called it the desperate act of a young species that did not understand how the universe worked. The Valith Primarch addressed the council with confidence. They will return, he said. They have no choice. Without access to Concordat trade routes, Their economy will collapse. Without our protection, they will be vulnerable. Give them 6 months. They will come crawling back, begging for forgiveness. The council agreed. Trade sanctions were imposed. Human merchants were expelled from every Concordat station. The quantum communication relays that connected human space to the rest of the galaxy were shut down. And then the Concordat waited. 1 month passed. 2 months. 3. The humans did not return. High Commander Vethrak of the Kethvora Dominion was the first to notice that something was wrong. The Kethvora were a reptilian species known for their military strength. They had been warriors for 10,000 years, and warriors learned to pay attention to their enemies. Our scouts report unusual activity at the human border, Vethrak told the Dominion Council. Or rather, they report unusual inactivity. Explain, demanded the council leader. Human space has gone dark. No signals, no communications, no traffic. Vethrak pulled up a holographic map. Before the withdrawal, this region was filled with ships, cargo vessels, passenger transports, military patrols. Now there is nothing. Complete silence. Perhaps they are suffering, the council leader suggested. The sanctions are working. No. Vethrak shook his head. A suffering population does not go silent. They cry out. They send desperate messages. They beg for help. The humans are not crying out. They are not begging. He paused. They are hiding. Hiding from what? Not from anything. Hiding something. The council leader dismissed his concerns. But Vethrak was not satisfied. He ordered his best scout ship to slip past the border and investigate. The scout ship was called the Shadow's Edge. It was crewed by veterans who had spent decades mapping enemy territory. They were the best the Dominion had. They crossed into human space expecting to find chaos, empty stations, abandoned colonies, signs of economic collapse. Instead, they found a human patrol vessel waiting for them. The human ship was unlike anything the Kethvora had seen before. It was sleek and dark, with lines that suggested speed and power. It made no aggressive moves. It simply sat there, watching. Unidentified vessel, a human voice said over the communication channel. You have entered sovereign human space. Leave, or be removed. The scout captain considered his options. He had orders to gather intelligence. But something about that human ship made his scales itch. Something about the way it sat so still, so confident. As if it knew exactly what would happen if a fight began. Withdrawing, the captain said. No hostile intent. He turned his ship and retreated back across the border. When he reached the Dominion, he gave his report to High Commander Vethrak in person. Tell me everything, Vethrak said. Sir, that ship was not in any of our databases. The design is completely new, and the readings we got. The captain hesitated. Sir, that patrol vessel had more firepower than one of our destroyers. Vethrak felt cold. A patrol vessel? Yes, sir. Just a patrol vessel. And there were others. We detected at least 50 similar ships in that sector alone. The captain met his commander's eyes. Sir, the humans are not collapsing. They are mobilizing. And they have been preparing for this for a very long time. Meanwhile, on Earth, a different kind of meeting was taking place. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in the war room of the United Earth Defense Command. Around her were the most powerful military leaders in human history. Admirals, generals, strategic planners. And at the head of the table sat Admiral Chen Wei-Lin, commander of all human military forces. The Concordat will not wait forever, Elena said. They expected us to beg for readmission. When we do not, they will send a fleet to force us back into line. Admiral Chen nodded. We are aware. Our intelligence suggests they are already planning a peacekeeping intervention. Peacekeeping? Elena laughed bitterly. They will call it peacekeeping while they burn our worlds. They will try. Admiral Chen smiled, and that smile was not kind. Ambassador, may I show you something? He led her to a window that overlooked a massive construction bay. Elena had seen shipyards before. She had visited the facilities that built humanity's official fleet. Those shipyards were impressive. This was something else entirely. Ships filled the bay, hundreds of ships, designs she had never seen before, dreadnoughts that dwarfed anything in the known galaxy, carriers that seemed to stretch for kilometers, fighters that looked more like weapons than vehicles. How is this possible? Elena whispered. 200 years of hidden work, Admiral Chen said. Secret budgets. Underground facilities. Technology we could never reveal while we were members of the Concordat. The Valith thought they knew everything about us. They were wrong. Why did we hide this? Because we hoped we would never need it. Chen turned to face her. Ambassador, humanity has always been willing to fight. But we have also always preferred peace. We joined the Concordat because we believed in cooperation. We followed their rules because we wanted to be good neighbors. We hid our strength because we did not want to frighten anyone. And now they have shown us that peace was never an option. They were always planning to control us or destroy us. The only thing that stopped them was uncertainty about what we could do. Chen gestured at the ships below. Now they will have certainty. Elena felt tears in her eyes. We could have been friends. All of them. We could have built something beautiful together. Yes, Chen agreed. We could have. But they chose fear instead. And we must respond to the choice they made. Not the choice we wish they had made. How long until we are ready? 18 months. Perhaps less. We have been quietly stockpiling resources for decades. Our production capacity is far beyond what anyone suspects. Chen paused. But there is something else you should know. What? The ships are not our only secret. Chen lowered his voice. Ambassador, do you know why humans have always been different? Why we adapt so quickly? Why we survive things that destroy other species? I have heard theories. The theories are true. Human minds are unique in the galaxy. Our neural structure allows for something no other species can do. We can connect. Not just through words or machines, through thought itself. Chen met her eyes. We have been researching this ability for 200 years. We have built systems that can link human minds together. Millions of minds. Billions, if necessary. Elena felt dizzy. That sounds like a weapon. It is. The most powerful weapon ever created. And we pray we will never have to use it. Chen looked out at the ships. But if the Concordat pushes us far enough, if they threaten our very existence, we will have no choice. And on that day, the galaxy will learn what humanity truly is. Elena stood in silence for a long time, watching the ships being built. Somewhere out there, the Concordat was planning their attack. They thought they knew what they were facing. They had no idea. What do you need from me? She finally asked. Go home. Rest. Prepare yourself. Chen placed a hand on her shoulder. You walked out of that chamber and changed history. Now history will need you again. When the time comes, you will be the one to deliver our message to the galaxy. What message? Admiral Chen looked at the fleet that would soon defend humanity. His eyes were hard, but his voice was soft. That we did not want this war. We did not start this war. But we will end it. On our terms. And the universe will never forget. The coalition fleet gathered at the edge of human space. 200 warships from 12 different species. It was the largest military force assembled in 300 years. The Concordat called it a peacekeeping mission. Everyone knew it was an invasion. Fleet Commander Torak of the Valith stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Divine Mandate. He had served the Concordat for 400 years. He had crushed rebellions. He had conquered worlds. He had never lost a battle. He did not expect to lose this one either. Intelligence reports confirm the human fleet consists of 40 frigates, his tactical officer reported. They are outgunned 5-1. This should be over quickly. Torak clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. The humans were foolish to resist. They should have accepted our generous offer when they had the chance. Perhaps they will surrender when they see our numbers. Perhaps, but if they do not, we will make an example of them. The galaxy must learn that defying the Concordat has consequences. The fleet jumped to faster than light speed. Space twisted around them. Stars blurred into lines. And then they emerged at the edge of the Sol system, home of humanity. What they saw made them stop. Ships filled the space before them. Not 40 frigates. Hundreds of warships. Dreadnoughts that dwarfed the divine mandate. Carriers that seemed to go on forever. Destroyers and cruisers and fighters in formations that stretched across the void. Torak stared at the screen. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. "Sir," his tactical officer whispered, "we are detecting over 600 human warships. Their combined firepower exceeds ours by a factor of 10. That is impossible. Where did they come from?" "Unknown, sir. These designs are not in any of our databases. We have never seen anything like them." At the center of the human fleet sat a ship unlike any other. It was massive, nearly the size of a small moon. Its hull was covered in weapons platforms that glowed with barely contained energy. The name on its side was written in human script. Prometheus. A communication channel opened. A human face appeared on the screen. The officer wore a simple gray uniform with stars on the collar. Her hair was gray, her face was lined with age, but her eyes were sharp and clear. "I am Admiral Chen Wai-Lin of the United Earth Navy," she said. "You have entered sovereign human space with a hostile military force. I will give you one chance to withdraw." Torak found his voice. "This is Fleet Commander Torak, of the Galactic Concordat. We are here on a peacekeeping mission authorized by the Council. You will stand down and submit to Concordat authority." Admiral Chen smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Fleet Commander, let me be clear about something. For 200 years, humanity played by your rules. We were polite. We were patient. We hid our true capabilities because we believed in peace." She leaned forward. "Those days are over." "You cannot defeat us," Torak said, but his voice was not as confident as before. "The Concordat rules this galaxy." "The Concordat ruled this galaxy," Chen corrected. Past tense. "What you are looking at is 2 centuries of preparation. Every ship you see was built in secret. Every weapon was designed to counter your technology. Every crew member has trained for this moment their entire life. You are bluffing." "Am I?" Chen's smile widened. "Fleet Commander, I am going to tell you exactly what will happen if you attack us. It is not a threat. It is a prediction based on careful analysis." She held up one finger. "First, you will fire your weapons. They will not penetrate our shields. Your shield technology is based on designs we gave you 50 years ago. We kept the countermeasures for ourselves." She held up a second finger. "Second, we will return fire. Your shields will fail immediately. Our weapons are 3 generations ahead of anything you have seen." A third finger. "Third, your fleet will be destroyed. Not damaged. Destroyed. Every single ship. The battle will last less than 15 minutes. She lowered her hand. "But here is the part you should really understand. We do not want to kill you. We do not want war. We never did. All we ever wanted was to be treated as equals. You refused. And now you have come to our home with weapons pointed at our families." Her voice hardened. "So this is the Chen doctrine. Humanity will not fire first. But if a single weapon is discharged at a human vessel, we will not stop until every ship in your fleet is dust. This is not anger. This is not revenge. This is simply what happens when you threaten our existence. You would not dare. Try me." The communication channel remained open. The 2 fleets faced each other across the void. Seconds passed. Minutes. Torak's mind raced. Everything he knew said this was impossible. The humans had hidden this much power? For 200 years? How? Why? But the ships were real. The weapons were real. And the look in Admiral Chen's eyes was very, very real. "All ships," Torak said slowly, "prepare to withdraw." Relief began to spread through the bridge. The tactical officer relaxed. The crew started to breathe again. Then a single shot rang out. A Keth Vora captain named Vethnar, eager for glory and convinced that the humans were bluffing, had fired a plasma torpedo at the nearest human destroyer. The torpedo splashed harmlessly against the destroyer's shields. Admiral Chen closed her eyes. When she opened them, there was no anger in her face, only sadness. So be it. She spoke one word. Prometheus. The battle lasted 11 minutes. Later, historians would study those 11 minutes in detail. They would analyze every shot, every maneuver, every decision. They would write books about what they called the most one-sided naval engagement in galactic history. The human fleet moved like a single organism. Ships that should have been too large to maneuver dodged enemy fire with impossible grace. Weapons that should not have existed punched through concordate shields like they were made of paper. Fighters swarmed the enemy fleet in patterns that no computer could have coordinated. But what shocked the historians most was what happened after. When the last concordate ship fell silent, the human fleet did not celebrate. It did not advance. Instead, it stopped. And then the rescue operations began. Human ships moved through the debris, searching for survivors. Escape pods were collected. Wounded aliens were brought aboard human vessels and given medical care. Prisoners were treated with respect, even kindness. Fleet Commander Torak was pulled from the wreckage of the Divine Mandate, with 3 broken limbs and internal bleeding. He woke up in a human hospital bed, surrounded by human doctors who were working to save his life. "Why?" he asked the nurse who checked his vital signs. "Why? Save me. I came to destroy you." The nurse, a young human woman, looked at him with something like pity. "Because you are a living being," she said. "And we do not kill when we do not have to. We would have killed all of you. Yes, you would have." She adjusted his medication. "And that is the difference between us. The difference between us. And the difference between us." About the difference between us, Torak lay in that bed for a long time, thinking about her words. Across the galaxy, the footage of the battle spread like fire. Every species watched the 11 minutes that changed history. They saw the impossible human fleet. They saw the devastating weapons. They saw the complete destruction of a force that should have won easily. But what many of them remembered most was what came after. The rescue operations, the medical care, the mercy. The humans had proven they could destroy anyone who threatened them. And then, they had proven they chose not to. The survivors were sent home with a message for the Concordate. Admiral Chen delivered it herself, standing before the cameras that would broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. "We did not want this battle," she said. "We tried for 200 years to find peace. You rejected peace. You chose war. And now you have seen what war with humanity looks like." She paused, letting her words sink in. "But this does not have to continue. We are not conquerors. We do not want your worlds. We do not want your resources. We want only one thing: to be left alone, to determine our own future." She stepped closer to the camera. "The Concordate believed we were too dangerous to be trusted. They were right. But they misunderstood the nature of the danger. We are not dangerous because we are violent. We are dangerous because when we are pushed into a corner, we do not give up. We do not surrender. We find a way." Her final words would echo through history. "This is your warning. Leave us in peace, and we will leave you in peace. Attack us again, and there will be no rescue ships. No medical care. No mercy. We will do whatever is necessary to protect our people." She straightened her shoulders. "The choice is yours. Choose wisely." The broadcast ended, and in council chambers across the galaxy, leaders began to realize that the universe had fundamentally changed. The old order was crumbling. Humanity had announced itself to the stars. The Galactic Concordate was dying. It did not die with a bang. It died with whispers, with doubt, with fear. In the months after the battle, emergency sessions filled the Grand Accord chamber. The Valeth Primarch demanded revenge. He called for a full military response. For every ship in the Concordate to unite against the human threat. His voice echoed through the crystal halls, filled with rage and wounded pride. But the chamber was not listening anymore. "You have seen the footage. said the representative from the Morvathi. An aquatic species that had served the Concordat for 3,000 years. 200 ships destroyed in 11 minutes. The humans did not even lose a single vessel. They caught us by surprise, the Primarch argued. Next time we will be prepared. Prepared how? The Morvathi's gill flaps rippled with frustration. Their technology is beyond anything we have. Their tactics are beyond anything we can match. And there are only more of them now. Our spies report that human shipyards are producing new vessels faster than we can count them. Then we must strike before they grow stronger. With what? The Kethvora representative stood. His scales were dull with age, but his voice was sharp. The Dominion will not send more ships to die. Our High Commander watched the battle recordings. He said that attacking the humans would be suicide. The Primarch's mandibles clicked in anger. The Kethvora are cowards. The Kethvora are survivors, the representative replied calmly. There is a difference. One by one, species began to refuse. The chamber that had been united for 12,000 years started to crack. Old alliances broke down. Old resentments surfaced, and at the center of it all was a simple question. Why should we fight a war we cannot win? But humanity was not simply waiting for the Concordat to collapse. They were doing something far more effective. They were building an alternative. Ambassador Elena Vasquez led the effort. She traveled across the galaxy, visiting species that had been marginalized by the Concordat. The Morvathi, who had been denied oceanic worlds for centuries. The Zelani, a peaceful species that had been bullied into servitude. The Talvath, artists and philosophers who had been dismissed as useless. We are not asking you to fight, Elena told them. We are not asking you to take sides. We are simply offering you a choice. The choice was called the Terran Compact. It was a new alliance, built on principles that the Concordat had never truly followed. Equal membership for all species, regardless of size or power. Fair trade agreements based on mutual benefit. No species forced to give up their home. No species treated as lesser. The Morvathi were the first to join. Humanity helped them terraform a water world that the Concordat had denied them for generations. Within a year, the Morvathi had a new home, and they wept with joy when they saw the endless oceans. The Zelani came next. They had lived in fear for so long that they barely knew what freedom felt like. Human diplomats worked with them patiently, helping them rebuild their confidence and their culture. Slowly, the Zelani began to remember who they had been before the Concordat crushed them. Even the Kethvora, the proud warriors who had once looked down on humanity, reached out. High Commander Vethrak sent a secret message to Admiral Chen. We respect strength, Vethrak wrote. We have seen your strength. We have also seen your mercy to our survivors. Perhaps there is room for discussion between our peoples. Within 2 years, 300 species had joined the Terran Compact. Not because they were forced, not because they were afraid, because they were offered something the Concordat had never given them: genuine respect. The Valeth Primarch watched his empire crumble, and his ancient mind turned to darkness. They are destroying everything we built, he said to his inner council, a small group of Valeth who had been his loyal followers for millennia. 12,000 years of order. 12,000 years of stability. And these humans are tearing it apart. Perhaps we should negotiate, one advisor suggested. The humans seem willing to talk. Perhaps we can find some arrangement. Negotiate? The Primarch's voice was cold. With creatures who have humiliated us before the entire galaxy? With a species that has stolen our members and broken our power? Never. Creature. He rose from his throne and walked to a hidden chamber that only his inner council knew about. Inside was a device that had not been used in 10,000 years. A weapon so terrible that its very existence was classified at the highest level. This is the Stellar Ignition Device, the Primarch said. It was built during the great wars of our past, before the Concordat existed. It can trigger a chain reaction in any star, turning it into a supernova within hours. The advisors stared at the device in horror. Primarch, if we use this, the humans will be destroyed. Their sun will explode. Their home system will be incinerated. Their fleet will have no base to return to. The Primarch's eyes glittered with ancient hatred. They think they have won. They are wrong. But the other species, if they learn, we have this weapon. They will never learn. The device will be disguised as a cargo vessel. It will be delivered to the Sol system under a flag of truce, and by the time anyone realizes what has happened, there will be no humans left to tell the tale. The plan was set in motion. A cargo vessel called the Mercy's Hand was loaded with the stellar ignition device. It was crewed by Valith loyalists who knew they were on a suicide mission. They did not care. They had served the Primarch for centuries. They would die for him gladly. The Mercy's Hand left Concordat space and set course for Sol. But the Primarch had made a mistake. He had trusted too many people. And one of those people was not as loyal as he believed. A young Zelani named Kira had been working as a servant in the Primarch's palace. She had been invisible, as servants often were, and she had heard things. Terrible things. When she learned about the stellar ignition device, she knew she had to act. The humans had given her people hope, for the first time in generations. She could not let them be destroyed. She escaped from Nexus Prime in a stolen shuttle. She flew for 3 days without sleep, pushing the shuttle's engines to their limit. And finally, battered and exhausted, she reached human space. Human patrol ships surrounded her immediately. But she did not resist. She simply broadcast a single message. I have information. The Concordat is going to destroy your son. Please. You have to listen. Within hours, she was standing before Admiral Chen and Ambassador Vasquez, telling them everything she knew. How long do we have? Chen asked when Kira finished her story. The ship left 2 days ago. At standard FTL speeds, it will reach your system in 72 hours. Can we intercept it? I do not know. The device is disguised as a cargo vessel. There are thousands of ships in the space lanes. Finding one among them would be almost impossible. Elena felt her blood run cold. 72 hours. 3 days to find a single ship in the vastness of space. 3 days before everything humanity had ever built was turned to ash. There has to be something we can do, she said. Admiral Chen was quiet for a long moment. Her face was troubled, but there was no fear in her eyes. Only determination. There is one option, she said finally. Something we hoped we would never have to use. Something that carries risks we cannot fully predict. What is it? Chen looked at Kira, then at Elena. Do you know why humans are different from other species? Why we adapt so quickly? Why we survive things that should destroy us? I have heard stories, Kira said softly. The stories are true. Human minds can connect in ways that no other species can understand. We have been researching this ability for 200 years. We have built systems that can link human minds together. Not just a few minds. All of them. Every human being in existence. Elena's eyes widened. You are talking about the Prometheus Protocol. Yes. Chen nodded. If we activate it, humanity will become one mind. One consciousness. We will be able to see everything, know everything, do things that would be impossible for individuals. We could find that ship. We could stop it. We could save ourselves. What is the risk? Chen's voice was soft. We do not know what happens when billions of minds become one. We do not know if we will still be ourselves when it is over. We do not know if we will survive the experience. She paused. But if we do nothing, we die anyway. Elena looked at Kira. The young Zelani had risked everything to save them. Strangers. A species she had never met. Because she believed it was right. Do it, Elena said. Whatever it takes. Humanity does not give up. Not ever. Admiral Chen nodded. She reached for her communicator and began to send the orders that would change history. 72 hours. The countdown had begun. The message went out to every human world. Every station. Every ship. Every place where humans lived and breathed and dreamed. This is Admiral Chen Wei Lin. Humanity faces extinction. In less than 72 hours, a weapon will arrive in our home system that will destroy our sun. Our fleets cannot find it in time. Our technology cannot stop it. But there is another way. She paused, and when she spoke again, her voice was gentle. For 200 years, we have hidden our greatest secret. Human minds can connect. We can become one. We have never tested this ability on a large scale because we were afraid of what might happen. Today, fear is a luxury we cannot afford. Across human space, people stopped what they were doing. Families gathered together. Strangers reached for strangers. The old and the young, the rich and the poor, the brave and the frightened, all of them listened. I am asking you to join with me, to become part of something larger than any of us have ever imagined. I am asking you to trust each other, to believe in each other, and to fight together for our survival. She took a breath. If you are willing, open your minds, let the connection happen, and together, we will do the impossible. On Earth, in a small apartment in Tokyo, an old woman named Yuki closed her eyes. She thought of her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren scattered across the stars. She thought of the world she had grown up in, the blue skies and green mountains and endless oceans. She thought of everything humanity had ever been, and she let go. On Mars, in the great domed cities, millions of people reached for each other. They held hands. They embraced. They whispered words of comfort and courage, and they let go. On Europa, on Titan, on the colony ships traveling through the void, humanity prepared for something unprecedented. They did not know what would happen. They did not know if they would survive. But they knew that they would face it together, and they let go. The connection began as a whisper. Then it became a river. Then it became an ocean. Minds touched minds. Memories flowed between strangers. Emotions blended and merged. The barriers that separated individual humans began to dissolve. Yuki felt her grandson's fear and sent him comfort. A soldier on the border felt the love of a mother he had never met and wept with gratitude. A child on Earth sensed the wisdom of elders from distant worlds and understood things no child had ever understood before. And still the connection grew. Billions of minds, billions of thoughts, billions of hearts, beating as one. The individual selves did not disappear, but they became part of something greater. A single vast consciousness spread across the stars, made of humanity's hopes and dreams and memories. For one transcendent moment, humanity became something new. The collective mind opened its eyes. It could see everything. Every ship in human space. Every signal. Every movement. It stretched out its awareness, scanning the void with senses that no individual could possess. And there, hidden among thousands of ordinary vessels, it found the Mercy's hand. The Valeth crew on the weapon ship never knew what happened. One moment, they were traveling in secret toward their target. The next moment, they felt something brush against their minds, something vast and ancient and impossibly human. The collective mind reached out across space. It touched the stellar ignition device. It understood the device in an instant, saw how it worked, saw the chain reaction it would trigger, and with a thought that was the combined will of billions, it unmade the device atom by atom. The weapon simply ceased to exist. But the collective mind did not stop there. It continued to reach out, spreading further and further through the galaxy. Every sentient species felt it pass. The Valeth on Nexus Prime, the Kethvora in their war rooms, the Morvathi in their oceans, the Zilani in their new homes, they all felt humanity touch their minds. Not with violence. Not with conquest. Just with presence. A gentle brush of awareness that said, "We are here." And with that presence came a message. Words formed not from sound, but from pure meaning, understood by every mind they touched. We are humanity. We did not ask for this war. We did not want this war. We only wish to stand beside you as equals. But we will not be erased. We will not be subjugated. We will never kneel. Remember this. Remember us. And know that as long as humanity exists, No one will face the darkness alone. The message faded. The presence withdrew. And across the galaxy, trillions of beings sat in stunned silence, changed forever by what they had experienced. On Earth, the connection began to dissolve. Minds that had been one slowly became many again. People opened their eyes, blinking in the light, trying to remember who they had been before and who they were now. Many wept, some laughed, others simply held each other, grateful to be alive. Admiral Chen found herself on her knees, tears streaming down her face. She had felt everything. Every human life, every human dream. The weight of it had been almost unbearable, but it had also been beautiful beyond words. Ambassador Elena Vasquez helped her stand. Did it work? Yes. Chen's voice was hoarse. The weapon is destroyed. We are safe. And the rest? The message? Everyone heard it. Everyone felt it. Chen looked up at the stars. The galaxy will never see us the same way again. In the Grand Accord Chamber, the Valith Primarch sat frozen on his throne. He had felt humanity touch his mind. He had seen, for just an instant, what they truly were. And the sight had broken something inside him. His weapon was gone. His plan had failed. And now every species in the galaxy knew what he had tried to do. The secret of the stellar ignition device was no longer secret. Outside the chamber, ships were gathering. Not human ships. Ships from species that had once been loyal members of the Concordat. Ships that had come to deliver justice. The Primarch did not resist when they came for him. He had nothing left to fight with. 1 year later, Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood before a new assembly. It was not called the Concordat. It was called the United Sentient Alliance, and it was built on principles that the old order had never truly understood. 2,000 species filled the chamber. Some had been members of the Concordat. Others had been outcasts, ignored and oppressed. All of them had chosen to build something new. We gather today to celebrate something unprecedented, Elena said. For 12,000 years, this galaxy was ruled by fear. Species were divided into the powerful and the weak, the worthy and the unworthy. We were taught that this was the natural order. We were taught that cooperation meant submission. She paused, looking out at the assembled delegates. Humanity proved that this was a lie. Not through conquest. Not through violence. Through something much simpler. Belief. We believed that sentient beings could live together as equals. We believed that strength could be used to protect, rather than oppress. We believed that the universe was big enough for all of us. She smiled. Some called us naive. Some called us dangerous. Perhaps they were right about both. But we refused to give up on our beliefs, even when it cost us everything. And in the end, those beliefs changed the galaxy. The chamber erupted in applause. Delegates from species that had once been enemies embraced each other. The old divisions were not completely healed, but they were beginning to fade. In the front row, Kira the Zalani wiped tears from her eyes. She had become a hero to her people, the one who had saved humanity and helped build the new alliance. But she did not feel like a hero. She felt like what she had always been, someone who believed that the right thing was worth fighting for. Beside her sat High Commander Vethrak of the Kethvora. The old warrior had found something he had never expected in the humans, partners worthy of respect. His people had joined the alliance not as conquerors, but as protectors. It was a strange feeling, but not an unpleasant one. And somewhere in the chamber, watching through a quantum link broadcast, the survivors of the Concordat fleet watched as well. Fleet Commander Torak, his wounds healed but his pride still broken, had spent months thinking about what the human nurse had told him. We do not kill when we do not have to. And that is the difference between us. He had not understood those words at first. Now he thought he was beginning to. On Earth, a memorial stood in Geneva. It was a simple pillar of black stone, etched with the names of every human who had given their lives in the Concordat War. At its base, an inscription gleamed in golden letters. They asked us to kneel. We chose to stand. Every year, on the anniversary of the day humanity left the negotiation table, Billions gathered in silence. They came to remember. They came to honor. And they came to renew a promise. We will never stop reaching for the stars. We will never abandon those who need us. We will never forget what we almost lost, or what we chose to become. Admiral Chen, retired now but never forgotten, visited the memorial every year. She would stand before the pillar for hours, reading the names, remembering the faces. She had felt every one of those lives during the Great Connection. She carried them with her still. A young girl approached her one year, shy and curious. "Admiral Chen, can I ask you something?" Of course. What did it feel like? When all the humans became one, Chen was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she knelt down to look the girl in the eyes. "It felt like coming home," she said. "Like I had been alone my whole life without knowing it. And suddenly I was surrounded by family, billions of brothers and sisters, all of them loving me, all of them fighting beside me." She smiled. "It was the most beautiful thing I have ever experienced. Do you miss it?" "Every day." Chen touched the girl's shoulder. "But you know what? We did not lose it completely. The connection faded, but something remains. We are still one people. We still carry each other in our hearts. And when the universe trembles, we still stand together." The girl nodded slowly, taking in her words. Then, she looked up at the memorial. Reading the inscription, "They asked us to kneel. We chose to stand. I want to be brave like them," she said. "You already are," Chen replied. "Every human is. It is what makes us who we are." She stood and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, the United Sentient Alliance was growing. New species were joining every year. Old wounds were healing. The galaxy was learning, slowly, what cooperation truly meant. And at the center of it all, humanity continued to do what it had always done: reach for the impossible and refuse to give up. The universe had trembled the day humans left the negotiation table. It was still trembling, and humanity was only getting started.